All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, before we go any further with the new settings of the perspective mode, I think we need to understand what perspective mode is and how it sits and reads in the water. And I think this is confusing to some people because, you know, there are certain things that'll be in the water that you won't see. So let's take a look at it, understand the beam and how it works. And then tomorrow, in tomorrow's video, we're going to work on aligning the beam into deeper water and some things like that. So first, let's just find out and get a good explanation of what perspective mode is. All right, guys, so what we have here is, this is what you see on the screen. This is your perspective mode. This is 135 degrees from here to here, and the beam is 20 degrees wide. So this is what you would be looking at. This right here is 135. That's what you see. This is the beam width, 20 degrees from here to here. That's 20 degrees. Now this is where it starts to get a little tricky for some people. They go, man, I'm not seeing anything till it gets 10 foot out. Well, you got to understand why. As the beam is 20 degrees and angles down, there's this whole area right there that is not picking up anything because there's nothing in the beam. There could be a log 6 foot in front of the boat right here, which would be right here on the 135 degree perspective, and it's not going to show up because the beam, although that wide, it sits at an angle just like this. So until it doesn't get to the bottom till you get out here about halfway. So if there's fish swimming in this area, they will show up. But if there's because they're right in here. But if there's something on the bottom, say a log or grass or things like that, they're not going to show up. Now, they're not going to show up until the beam hits the bottom, which is way out here. So out here, you'll be able to see the bottom. In here, you just see empty space. And that is represented by right here. This is nothing. It's not reading. This right here, that will be the stuff where you only see what's swimming. And then once it gets out to this zone right here, then that's what this is right here. Now, I'm going to stop the film and I'm going to redraw this, and I'm going to show you why angle is very important when you're in shallow water to be able to see the bottom. But I'm going to stop the film right here, and then I'm going to redraw it, and we're going to go from there. All right, now we're back. In the top right-hand corner of perspective mode, you'll see a little. You're gonna see a little boat emblem, and this is my boat emblem, not very good. And you'll see a representation of the beam, which is actually the same thing that I was explaining a while ago. Whereas the beam comes flat and then angles downward. That right there is the most important part of perspective mode in setting the beam. This will not change no matter which direction that's pointing. But this is the most important thing. Angling the beam is the most important thing. If I'm wanting to see as much bottom as possible, if I want to see as much bottom as possible, say if I'm looking for drains and things like that, in my opinion, I want to get this top of the beam flat to the top of the water. That's number one. Secondly, I want to set it on about 50 or 60 feet. Why do you say 50 to 60 feet is? Because the bottom of the beam doesn't hit till on out into the water column. So here's the boat. Here's 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot before it hits the bottom. And if you only set it on, say, 30 feet, right here, you're only going to be looking at this much of the bottom. That's why I say go ahead and set it on, say, 60 feet or 50 feet. That way you can really study the bottom. And this little voided zone, when you set it on 60 feet, will be a lot closer to the boat. If you set it, say, on 30 feet, that voided zone will be represented by this much of it, if you understand what I'm saying. And this is a very difficult thing to understand. This is a lot more difficult than, say, forward position. And this is why so many people struggle with perspective mode and understanding it. They put it down, they don't pay attention to the angle. See, forward mode is pretty set and simple. Get it top, the 135-degree points backwards. It's very easy to set. Perspective mode takes a little bit of time, a little patience, and a little bit of understanding of the beam. If the beam is angled, for example, too far down, then, if it's too far down, let me erase this, and then I'll show you what happens if it's angled too far down. Now, people are going to say, well, if I want to see more bottom, wouldn't it make sense just to aim it downwards? That would if the beam weren't 20 degrees. The 20 degrees beam width, in this mode, this will be the beam width. The 20 degrees top to bottom of the beam is what's really hurting you. If you say, well, I just aim it downward, yes, you can aim it downward. But here's the thing. You'll actually see less by angling that beam down, because now your beam is going to hit the bottom very quickly. Here's the crazy thing. Still going to have a void. And now your void is going to be all of this. The only part that's going to be reading is this right here. The only part of this is going to be showing is a very small portion of the bottom. Yes, all your beam will pick up the bottom, but this right here is not going to be represented by very much. That's why angle of the beam is so important. Now, guys, I know this is very, very difficult, and I will take as many questions as I can, because trying to explain this in a 10-minute video is very, very difficult. But now that you understand how the beam sits down here in relation to this, you'll understand why you're not seeing anything in this area right here, and it's because this area right here is the same representation. There's no beam right there. It's going out, but there's no beam right there. So guys, I hope that helps. I know it's very difficult, but I'm also saying this right here, this 20-degree beam is what's also making being able to look into that deep water and see it so effectively. We're going to get into that video tomorrow. Guys, I hope that helped. It is so hard to explain that. And I hope I broke it down better, but this is a 3-part series. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do one where I show you why I angle it high in the water column for top waters. And then I'm going to show you also why that angling high is very effective for deep water. But I hope this helped, guys. Thank you so much. We just hit 9,000 subscribers. You guys are the best. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. You guys are the best. Ring the bell.